Hey y'all, so I'm about to teach my evening classes and I'm in the studio, as you can see. It is so icky and rainy outside in New York. Oh my god. Like, wow. I'm so happy that I'm inside and all cozy in the studio. I always get so many questions about how I got into Pilates and about the process and about teaching. So I wanted to share a little bit more about my Pilates journey and what I love about it, how I got into it, and about teaching at Forma in New York City. Before we get started, I'm wearing the cutest little set from Splits 59. It's so cozy and buttery. There's these little thumb holes. I love that detail that they put in on their athletic wear. Just a little legging set. So I originally started my fitness journey very early on. I started modeling when I was 14. I'd always done sports before that. I did like lacrosse, volleyball, cheerleading, like everything, track and field. And once I got into modeling, I had to fit particular measurements, so I couldn't be doing like the weightlifting and the sprinting that would typically like bulk up the legs, but rather like low intensity cardio, more lengthening exercises. Honestly, I would just do workouts on YouTube, whatever I could find. Like, I loved all of the Victoria's Secret Angel model workouts, like anything I could find on YouTube. I started jump roping a lot. I started just like kind of building my own routines and finding what works for me, which was low intensity cardio workouts with some like Pilates fusion is what I would call it. And then I also started taking Pilates classes in South Carolina, where I grew up. And it's called Core Balance in Greenville. I don't even know if they're still open, but it was just classical reformer and tower Pilates. And out of everything that I tried, like I did boxing, I did jump roping, like any online workout that you can imagine, and Pilates was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and I just fell in love with it. I saw such a change in my body and in my measurements, and just overall like lengthening and toning without bulking. I'm like, oh my god, like this is what I've been looking for. Then once I moved to New York, I would try out like literally every workout class, every studio I could possibly find. And then I made the jump to get certified, I think like three and a half years ago now. So all in all, I think it's 10 years of practicing Pilates and 3.5 years now of training / teaching. So I made the jump to start teaching Pilates for a couple of reasons. I truly believe that Pilates is the best workout for women on the entire planet. Obviously for aesthetic reasons, like it lengthens and it tones, but also for longevity and for your mental state. I feel like before Pilates really became popular, a lot of people would do like Soul Cycle and Barry's Boot Camp and Orange Theory. Like, not to call anyone out, those workouts are great, and if that's what you love, like, and that's what makes your body feel good, then by all means. But I feel like before that, a lot of people would do really high, especially women would do really high intensity cardio workouts very regularly. And I'm not a doctor, I'm a Pilates instructor, but those definitely raise your cortisol levels a lot higher than Pilates. And cortisol, especially as you get older, if you have really high levels of cortisol, that can be a barrier to fat reduction and to muscle retention, and also just really affect your hormones and your mental state. Versus Pilates, it doesn't raise your cortisol levels as high. I mean, at least reformer Pilates and mat Pilates, maybe heated Pilates is a little different. And it obviously depends on the way people teach it, but the way that I teach it, I try to prevent a cortisol spike. Cortisol is just a stress hormone and kicks your body into fight or flight. It's a good way to describe it. But yeah, Pilates doesn't raise your cortisol levels it lengthens and it tones, but also that resistance training and that muscular training burns calories over a much longer period of time versus just doing like a really long run where you burn a ton of calories and then you overcompensate by eating a ton after. It also helps so much with, especially as we get older, as women, we're prone to osteoporosis. So with muscle density, with stability, preventing falls, especially as you get older, and just building all of those muscles around your spine, around your hips, around your joints. The second reason is just community. Like, I can literally move anywhere in the entire world, find a Pilates studio, and immediately have a job and like at least 50 friends, like whoever goes to the studio, and also something to connect with them over and to actually do. I can go anywhere in the world, meet someone at Pilates, be like, hey, let's go to Pilates next week and get coffee, and like immediately I have a friend. And that's so important to me, especially if I ever leave New York, especially whenever I have kids too. Like, I want the flexibility to, while I'm pregnant or while I have kids, while I have a family, to still have a community of women with an activity that we can bond over, something to go do that doesn't involve drinking. I feel like everything in New York City, everything social involves drinking. So it's so nice to be able to go to a Pilates class with my friends. I also, third reason, my best friend teaches at Forma, which I'll get into a little bit later. That's how I got introduced to Forma. And I feel like life just gets so busy with work and with partners and eventually with kids and moving, and just life gets so busy and it's so hard to make time for your friends. It's such a blessing to be able to work with my best friends every day and see them and have a reason to get together and something to bond over. I definitely end up spending a lot more time with my Pilates friends just because we're kind of in the same world and working in the same space. And lastly, I just wanted to feel more connected to my body. Like, I've been doing workouts like literally forever. Like, I've been doing sports or doing boxing or whatever it is. I just wanted to know more about how my body operates and how I can maximize the results from my workouts. And then lastly, as we're moving into this world of AI, I think that human connection is going to be so important and also very lasting. It's very hard to replace. There's so many online workouts, but people still want to come into a studio. They want that personalization of, like, you know, lift your toe a little bit higher, whatever it is. They want that personal modification. I just feel like Pilates is something where you're working with your hands that will have a lot of longevity no matter what happens with AI and the labor market. So let's talk more about training. This was 3.5 years ago, so I'm not sure what's out there now, but whenever I started to look around for training, I feel like there's a couple of different options. You can either go to one of the online teacher training programs like Balanced Body, Equinox, Stott Pilates. I'll link those below. But they have programs that are 6 to 12 months for Reformer. You can check me on that, like, go do your research. But I would bucket that in a category of like the online teacher training programs. And that teacher training is valid everywhere. Like, pretty much all studios will be like, oh yeah, that's a great program, like, you know, good job, whatever. And they also have a bunch of shorter trainings that anyone, like even me, I've been teaching for 2 years. I can go back and maybe learn more about anatomy or learn, you know, more about prenatal, postnatal, things like that, just to revamp your knowledge and to always be learning. I started with Equinox Mat Pilates. I did that program online and it was so great. Highly recommend it. You can take it from anywhere. It's all virtual. But then whenever I was looking at Reformer Pilates trainings, the ones online are you know, pretty expensive. They take a pretty long time. And afterwards, you're kind of like, okay, well, where am I going to teach? So for me, I wanted to get right into teaching, and I think the fastest way to do that is to go through a studio. So studios will offer mat or reformer training that's specific to their method. The thing with those things like Balance Body and Stop Pilates, they're super great and they're very, very thorough. But every studio that you would potentially want to teach at, they all have their own method, and a lot of times they want you to do their specific program. So if you're more in the camp of like, I, you know, have the time and money to invest in this, and you know, I just want to learn, then I think Balance Body and any of those online programs are really great. But if you're like, I want to learn and I want to start teaching like as soon as I can, I would go directly to a studio. You don't necessarily need training beforehand, but that's what I did with Forma. So I had my mat certification, and then I did Forma Method Reformer certification. Studios will typically offer a spring and then a fall semester for their certifications, so I would just keep that in mind. And they also fill up pretty quickly, so I would try to get on their list and reach out to them pretty early in advance. I won't go into all the details of my training just because it's the Forma secret sauce. You gotta come take class if you want to see it. But I would say a good program will go through anatomy, it'll go through all of the apparatuses, all of the reformer exercises, and then you'll also learn more about building out your routine, teaching, having a presence, some of those softer skills, I would say. A couple tips while you're training: it is so important to go shadow classes. I would literally go watch classes, sit on this couch and write down everything that they taught, and then go try it for myself, and also make notes of their cues, like any cues that I like, and try to incorporate that into my routines, into my practice teaching routines. I use Notion to organize all of my routines. I'm like the biggest Notion fan ever. I have my entire life on Notion. But yeah, I have like literally every routine that I've ever taught. I have mini series that I like that I can throw in anywhere. But yeah, while you're doing your training, like literally write down every single little detail of a routine while you're shadowing, and that just helps you get into the flow of building onto your own routines. Also, anytime I had free time, I mean, it's a little harder with reformer, but with mat too, like building out mat routines, anytime I had free time, I would be teaching my brothers, my mom, my dad, like literally anyone who would sit there and listen to me, I would be teaching them. Even if you're doing reformer, I feel like you can go teach your friends a mat class because you don't always have access to a reformer, but it just helps with cueing and with getting clearer with your words and finding that flow of throwing in cues while you're counting and helping with transitions between movements. Literally anyone that will listen to you and at least try to do what you're telling them to do, just teach them like whenever you have time. When you do have access to a reformer, even if I don't have anyone to teach, like I would just go in and talk while I'm doing it and like write down a routine. That way, whenever you do become an instructor, you have a clear train of thought for several routines that you've already practiced. And then also, like, even if it's not part of your class, but like get one of the instructors from the studio, like ask them, be proactive, reach out, ask them like, hey, can you come, you know, take my practice class and give me notes, give me feedback. And I still do that. Like I absolutely love when instructors come in and take my class. Like, we all take each other's classes, and I always ask for notes after, like, what can I do better? Like, should I change this or that? And it just helps me constantly improve. And then once you are certified and you're teaching, these are just a couple things that I like to do to always be learning, always be growing. So anywhere that I travel, and even while I'm in New York, I always go and take other people's classes just to see what other people are teaching and see what movements and, you know, their flows of class. I want to know what kinds of classes my customers are taking, like where their head is at when they're coming into my class, and also see how I can get better, how I can improve my routines. And then I follow a bunch of Pilates instructors and you know, Pilates influencers on Instagram and on TikTok. It's definitely an art more than a science. There are so many different movements that you can do on this machine. So, and that's what I love about it. Like, there's always more to learn. And then also, like I said, the Balanced Body program, and also the Marathu, which is the reformers that I train on. Both of those websites, you can find a ton of courses. I think Marathu is Stott Pilates. I don't know. Check me on that. But they have so many courses. I took anatomy it feels like so long ago. And while I still incorporate it into my routines, like, that's a course that I want to take in my free time just to get better. And then lastly, I love just like getting together with Tatum and Julia. They were in my last video, and they also teach at Forma, which is so much fun. But getting together with them and being like, hey, let's go like get a matcha and just like chill at the studio, like make content. And I'll be like, what have you been teaching lately? Ooh, I love that. Oh, you can make this better. Like, just, you know, bouncing ideas off of each other. So yeah, that's my Pilates journey. I hope this was helpful for anyone who's looking to become an instructor. Let me know if you guys want to see more Pilates content. I post a lot of like mini series and different flows on Instagram Reels. But let me know if you guys would want to see it here on YouTube in more of a fuller format. Go check out those Reels. I'll link them below. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'm gonna go teach.